It's going to be an interesting one because we're going to talk about our First Lady, Dr. Fatima Bio. She's an interesting woman. Really, she is an interesting woman. Over the years, my perception, which means nothing to her, has evolved in the way that I've looked at her, in the way she has handled the role of a First Lady. My reaction will be like the same of many, Sierra Leoneans when she first came into that role, because we kind of like have this kind of an established script of how the First Lady should behave, of how like the First Lady like should carry herself. And she walked in and you were like, well, I'm not going to use that script. And that is when I know that we were not ready for her. Sierra Leoneans were not ready for her, because when she walked in, we're like, okay, that is the script, but I'm going to break the mold. I'm not going to be imprisoned by how you guys have looked at this role, because I cannot be a character, putting out performance for you guys based on how you guys want me, or I'm not seeking any kind of a validation, which is a very strong character in itself and a very strong personality, if I should use that word again, like to have, because she's carrying that role with much of her personality and identity, and kind of like, this is me. And naturally, people will definitely have a response, when they look at things that is not familiar, because like the question was like, but this is not how a First Lady should behave. Well, if that is the question, then it means that we had a definition of how a First Lady should look. But when you look at it really, there are different presidents and they behave differently, and so you don't have a definition for them. So I also start thinking that, so why are we also having a specific definition for this First Lady? Because she decided to behave differently from the ones that we've had. And so, like we react, in a different way. And when you look at it also, much of the criticism that she got from Sierra Leoneans is as a result of this particular role. People expected it. Some of us expected her to behave in a certain way. And she's just like one of those people who you expect to behave, in a certain way, and kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to disappoint you because I have my own stuff and I have the way that I want to do things. Like her or not, she has become one of the most visible First Ladies in Sierra Leone's history, and that is a significant shift. And that shift is where many people are stuck, because there is a traditional aspect being attached to some of these offices that once you occupy them, people expect you to behave in a certain way. But she is not treating this role as a ceremonial extension to the president. At all not. She is using her identity and voice just to be able to carry it out. And Sierra Leoneans are struggling. Just like I said, we were never ready, like for her, because she has come with a different, like I will try and use the word of her being exceptional. It doesn't mean like she's superior more than the past First Ladies, but it's just that she looks at things completely different. Ask all the questions that you want to ask, that whatever she has done or whatever she's doing, it is unprecedented. I will say that is just being part of you being exceptional, that I'm not superior than the past First Ladies, but I want to do things completely different from the way that they did it. And I want to use my voice and use my identity just to come out there and then say, this is who I am. And we cannot criticize her because of that. And because also she's also opening other places in this particular role, which has been, like to be honest, largely a ceremonial role, that these First Ladies shows up for some certain type of function or shows up for, like a charity. But this First Lady, she is showing up every day, man. She is part of the conversations that you will not expect her to be part of. And, like to be honest with you, I like that part also. Like the world has evolved. Like we can't be having some traditional stuffs that are expected to lead us, still want to be archaic. Like she has to also evolve. Well, you can judge her on so many things that you want to judge. She has set the bar so high, and we are going to look at the next First Lady that is going to take that house and see what is going to happen. Like no one is going to ask her to be like, Fatima Bio, because she's a completely different woman and she has her own thing going on. But what I'm saying is that we should be able to accept change. Change is disruptive, because when change shows up, like you would not even, expect it to be, like the way that, you wanted it to be. And this first lady is that change, really. She has definitely changed that role, that office. She has changed it from this part of being more of, a ceremonial role, and she's kind of like, this role should be part of the day-to-day running of the presidency, as well. And well, most people are kind of like, well, she's not supposed to be part of it. I think she's also showing her own part of it, showing her own support, in the presidency. And I don't think, it's wrong, really. I used to look at it differently, which means nothing to them, okay? But I also used to look at it, that particular light, that, oh, she's not supposed to be part of this thing. But the way the world is going now, everybody should be part of anything. Once you occupy that presidency, or you are part of that presidency, you should be able to put your hands on deck. And I think that she has created or added some ingredient into that role. Sierra Leoneans did not prepare for her. We are looking at the same structure of how this particular role should perform, but she came in with a different take altogether. And most Sierra Leoneans have struggled. Some Sierra Leoneans have moved on. Well, the ones that are fanatics and all, that's a completely different kind of a conversation. They, they will not be able to move on. But Sierra Leoneans like us, who are just in that middle, not really having that kind of a partisan kind of a thing, and say, I just want my country just to push forward, and anything that looks like a change, I should be able to embrace it. We are all for it. I'm telling you, we are, we are just all for it. Anything that should come and add something completely different, I'm all for it. Okay, you might criticize her on so many levels, but there are things there that she has done, and there are some marks that she has left in that office, definitely, that we are going to miss it. Whether you like to nod your head or shake or whatever thing that you want to say, we are definitely going to miss some part of that when she leaves that office. So, the question should be, are we going to be open? Are we going to be open to change? Because people tell you that people shout about change, but people rarely embrace change.